main event for 167 is Georges St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. Now, I think that Johnny Hendricks stands a good chance of beating Georges St. Pierre. I don't think he will. I would like nothing more than for him to win. I did meet him at UFC 120, it was the Fan Expo. But I just think that Georges St. Pierre will probably win, and you know, it'll be the classic boring fight as per usual. I would imagine. So that's my that's my prediction for that. The next bout is Rashad Evans and Chael Sonnen. You know, he does have a huge mouth, does Chael, but do not forget that he's quite a talented fighter as well. Not that he always is able to back up what he says. In this particular sense, I think I'm still going to err towards Rashad Evans, but I do think that if he were to make any particular mistake, especially on the ground, there is a reasonable chance that he could lose. So I would be a little careful if I was him, but so long as he's reasonably orthodox and tries to stay up standing as long as possible, I think that he'll probably win. I'll go for decision. Rory MacDonald is fighting Robbie Lawler on this card, and if Lawler is going to remain if that makes sense, in the running for anything, he sort of has to win here. Otherwise, I think people are going to think that he's sort of one of the past greats. Or maybe not so great even. I don't know how people rank him. I think he's probably one of the greats, but because he's not been in the UFC a lot in the past compared to some other people, perhaps not, I don't know. It might be interesting to note that Rory MacDonald has been beaten once. It was on the feet, and it was by Carlos Condit. Robbie Lawler's area of expertise is on the feet generally. If he wins, it's generally by decision if it's at a caliber level like Lawler is. So I hope that Robbie Lawler wins this one, and I'll go for a TKO in the third. It's going to be that or a Rory MacDonald decision. Tyrone Woodley struggles with high calibers of the same level as Josh Koscheck. I would like nothing more than to see Tyrone Woodley win here. I don't think he'll get a submission, but I would settle for a decision victory. Unfortunately, much though I want that to be the case, this is probably going to be a Josh Koscheck decision instead. Tim Bagautinov, is fighting. Sorry, that's Ali Bagautinov and Tim Elliott, not the other way around. They're fighting, and I think that actually Ali will win this. He's on a horrendous win streak, in fact. Although he arguably has the worst record, I'm going to go for him. I'll go for TKO in the second. It's probably going to be a submission fest, and we've moved into the preliminaries now, and you will still note it's full of people who really are or were main carders, maybe a year and a half ago. That's how quickly these things change, and if you don't keep up with who's fighting who and how they're doing at a certain time, that's when you make the sort of mistakes that I think I've been making recently with my predictions. Anyway, Donald Cerrone versus Evan Dunham. Both high calibers, 20 and 6, 14 and 4, and it's going to be a submission fest. And I think I give Donald Cerrone the likelihood of winning that one, but I'm not quite sure how. I don't think I'll go for submission, but so maybe it'll be decision. I don't know. It's another submission fest that's likely to end in a decision, if you ask me. This is Ed Herman and Tarls Lights, and I err towards Tarls Lights by decision, unless Ed Herman can do something sort of dramatic which sort of throws caution to the wind. I think that's what I would make as my prediction. Brian Embersole is fighting Rick Story. Now, Brian Embersole is quite the journeyman. His record is 50-15. But he's been on a quiet rise for some time in the UFC until he met James Head in his last match. But when he lost, it was by split decision. He's fighting Rick Story, who's 15-7. And Rick Story, he started out, I remember, as being really exciting and somebody that we all thought might be a top prospect. He's now decision king, really, whether he wins or loses. And he can lose to, middle calibers. This will depend on whether Brian Embersole's rise is just sort of a swell in his journeyman progress, or whether he's actually going to be, perhaps he's going to go somewhere. I don't know who's going to win this one. I don't know. I shall go for Rick Story by decision. And last but not least is the orthodox striker versus groundsman. We've got Edwin Figueroa 9-3 versus Eric Perez 13-5. Both coming off a loss, although I have to say that Edwin is coming off 2 losses in a row, and he doesn't generally tend to have faced quite as high calibers. I think that Eric Perez will win this one. I'm going to go for a bar submission in the second. Anthony Lapsley is fighting Jason High. 22-5 for Anthony, 17-4 for Jason. Anthony actually has quite a long record of win streaks, 4 in a row here, and I think they are thinking or hoping that he will win by submission. But I'm not so sure, because the only names that I recognise are the names that he's lost to. So I think I'm going to go for a Jason High win there, but I'm not quite sure how. The next fight is Will Campuzano, 13-4, versus Sergio Pettis, a perfect 9. Yes, he is the brother of Anthony. And the thing about Will Campuzano having such a good record is that the names he has lost to are the real calibers that he's faced. So I hope that, and I expect that Sergio Pettis will win this, and I'll go for a choke submission in the second. And rounding the event off is Gian Villante, 10-4, versus Cody Donvan. Gian Villante is mainly a Strikeforce person, although he has entered the UFC already and he's coming off a loss. Cody Donvan, he has 3 losses, all of them by TKO. It may be no surprise to find that Gian Villante is a TKO artist. 6 of his 10 are by that method. He's never been submitted. I'm going to go for Gian Villante. Bizarrely enough, I'll go for TKO in the second.